listening to the Girl Talk podcast. My name is Carol.
I'm Alicia.
I'm Tricia.
And we're so glad you've joined us tonight for this very special podcast. We're so excited. Some of us are excited. We are very excited, but we're going to, of course, dive into a hard topic, which you're used to if you are have been listening to the Girl Talk podcast anytime at all. And tonight we're going to be talking about it's okay to feel. Now, the reason that we started talking about this subject was because with quarantine, we've seen a lot, and I think around the table we've done it too, of people numbing themselves, using things that were never designed to fulfill us or to bring us joy or to fill us up or strengthen us. In this time of quarantine and social isolation, we've turned to other things instead of God. And so we wanted to talk about that very honestly tonight. And I think probably the jumping off point is how we've handled stress because we've been so out of control. You know, everybody has felt very uncertain, very anxious about what's next, and just as soon as you think you know what's next, it changes. You know, so
Well, and just this morning, I had a friend post a picture of herself on Instagram, and she said, I feel sad today and almost depressed, but I don't know why. I can't pinpoint anything. And for me, that summed up everything that I've felt for myself and for friends that have told me that we feel off and we can't, you know, it's like, I'm not clinically depressed. I'm not, you know, but you wake up one Saturday and you're like, oh, I don't feel good today.
And you said it yesterday, the weight of responsibilities that we bear on a normal year is now heightened. And I think you spoke into that as well as we were talking yesterday.
Talking about the cup.
Yeah. Give that analogy.
Well, just the fact that most of the time we have a cup that's almost completely full all the time with the different responsibilities that we have, the different things that we're expected to do. And then when you add one more thing to an already full cup, it spills over. And I think that's what a lot of us are experiencing right now. Just one more little drop. Maybe it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it reacts. It makes us feel so profoundly. And then we're like, what's wrong with us? Why should I be so upset about this one little thing?
I love the cup analogy because we think it's that drop. Well, I shouldn't feel bad because it's just this one thing that happened today or one thing someone said to me or my outfit doesn't feel right. But it's really the whole cup.
Yes. That's already full.
Well, and here's another thing that comes to my mind is that especially in Christian circles, we tend to not be forthcoming about how stressed we're feeling and how anxious we're feeling and how out of control we're feeling because we think that makes us look less spiritual. You know, I'm not godly if I raise my hand and say, y'all, I'm stressed out today. You know,
why aren't you leaning on God?
Right, because you just need to pray more. You just don't have enough faith. You know, we say all those things, but where the rubber meets the road is when we have these emotions, the best thing we can do is lay it all out on the table and say, Lord, here it is. And this is what I'm feeling. And I don't think we give each other freedom to do that.
I think we deal with our own expectations. Here's what I've been dealing with. I have had times where I'm like, I'm so just disappointed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm disappointed in this, I'm disappointed in that. And then I feel badly about that. And so I work to overcompensate that, and I will fake how I'm feeling, and I'll pretend to feel this other way. Or worse, I'll numb in some manner so I'm not facing this discouragement and this disappointment. And here's part of it too. You don't expect that from me. I know what people expect from me. They expect me to be happy. They expect me to be joyful. And, you know, I am a lot of times, but I don't feel that way all the time. And when I don't feel that way, I'm so acutely aware that I am not meeting the expectations that I believe people have of me. Maybe it's not true. Maybe it's something I put on, but I suffer with that. And so to avoid that, I'll do anything. And that might be filling my schedule up so I don't have a second. It might be doing some athletic adventure till I get injured. It might be whatever it is, distracting, sleeping, eating. It's
Netflix
all of those things. I need to try that one. I haven't done that one yet, but the other ones I've been doing. And it is not satisfying. It doesn't work, and this rebound effect comes afterwards that's worse.
But we keep turning to it, or at least I do anyway. I mean, even though it doesn't do anything for me, I keep
It's
going
a
back to it.
temporary fulfillment, and like for me, food has been really bad during quarantine. I mean, it's been really good.
It's been
really good
disturbingly
I
good.
caught myself the other day. I had a bowl of popcorn, and I ate another bowl of popcorn.
Yeah.
And the second one, I'm like, I didn't need this.
Right.
But I just felt the I needed to be doing something.
Stuffing down.
And you know, and I recognized, but until then I hadn't really recognized that I was doing that. So I think sometimes we do those things and we don't realize that we're doing it to cope, and we need to maybe replace it with something else.
That's so hard. How do we stop? How do we push pause on that process?
Can I share with you?
Sure.
So I know when I numb, and it's the weekend, because I try to be good girl during the week. And then when the weekend comes, I don't know, let my guard down or something.
Yeah.
And so I know that, and I wrote myself a journal entry last Friday morning. This is very emotional, and I wrote myself, "Dear Tricia, you know, I've been thinking about this coming afternoon and about what I typically do. Let's not do that today. It's really not that great. It's not worth it. I'm going to disengage. I'm going to retreat from the people I love. I'm going to focus on myself. I single focus on pleasure. I won't have meaningful conversations. I won't participate with my family. I'll probably get annoyed, angry, or frustrated with them, and that's not what we want from today." And then I asked myself these questions. What am I scared of? What feelings overwhelm me? What happens if I allow myself to feel them? Would that be better? Would it be less scary in the long run? And I wrote myself that journal entry, and I read it Friday afternoon when I would typically launch into some numbing behavior. And it helped me. It didn't make it easy. It helped me to avoid some of the typical patterns that I fall into. But honestly, I had a bad night. And I was mad. I was like, God, hold on now. I thought I was supposed to have some miraculous good night and be like, yes.
Yeah.
Right?
But it is a process that I'm learning.
Yeah.
And I didn't follow through with some of the numbing behaviors on Saturday either, and I had a really good night. So it's a process, at least for me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what are the feelings we're so scared of?
Yeah. I think we tend to think that God only accepts and approves positive.
Right.
What we see as positive emotions. Yes. Joy. And peace. You know, and patience, which I have zero. Like zero.
That's that full cup.
Yeah, I go to that, the fruit of the Spirit, you know, love, joy, peace, patience, and I get to patience every time, like, nah, not so much. That one's rotten, right? Okay? But
Spray the tree.
exactly. Just cut her down, because there ain't no need in even having it, you know? But I think we only think that God will accept us and that we're a good Christian if those positive emotions are all that we feel. When I think the truth of the matter is God created emotions. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about in our devotion time is just that. You know, He gave us these emotions. I was thinking about this the other day. You know, pain is an indicator.
Yes.
There is an actual disorder where people can't feel pain.
Oh, you're right.
You know, when you touch the eye of a stove, there's pain there
For a reason.
so that you draw back, right?
Yes.
So could it be that the pain that we are feeling, whatever that is, we're trying to numb ourselves when we're getting in greater danger, because that's going to
Hurt us more.
Yeah, hurt us more. If we would just recognize the pain when it's there and be able to say, oh, this is an indicator of something a little bit deeper, and then take that to the Lord and not be ashamed of that. I know for me, I don't know that anybody's ever said, you should never tell the Lord. You know, everybody says, well, if you're mad at God, you just ought to tell Him, you know? and I think that is true, but we don't do that. You know, when our feelings get hurt and when things don't go as say, I don't go to God and say, Lord, my feelings are hurt.
Right. You just
You know, sometimes I'm tempted to say, I'm just discouraged, Lord, you know, or use some Christian
word.
But I'm not really expressing that emotion before God. And so because I'm not honest about it, He's not going to, you know, bust His way into my life and break down all those things. He certainly can. but he's waiting for me to come and to say, this is really where I'm at. And I don't know what to do with this, but I know you do.
Well, and I think we need to recognize that it's okay to feel this way. I was talking to a friend the other day, and she said, we are all living with consistent trauma.
Because of
just
COVID and all
yes,
that.
and it's everything from the
Isolation.
changes in schools. Like she had just dropped a son off at college, and it was very, it was very traumatic and
Disappointing.
yes, and you know, with all the regulations and different things, and not knowing if he'll be able to stay or if he should even go, the decisions. We are consistently bombarded with different types of trauma right now, and it could be something really small,
Like what to make for dinner.
Yes, that's not small. It happens every day.
I'm telling you.
I've been terrible with that during quarantine. But it's all this little stuff, and it's like, it goes back to the cup. I think we guilt ourselves and we feel bad that we're feeling bad. So and that makes it worse, because I'm like, I shouldn't feel bad that I didn't have dinner ready, or I don't
So
know
we
what's
add
for
a layer
dinner.
of shame on top of that emotion that we're already feeling. So that's 2 layers, right? And then we look around and go, nobody else is feeling this way. They're
Right.
planting
'Cause we're
vegetable
not talking
gardens and,
about
you know, harvesting their own bees or something. And, you know, here I am.
honey.
Yeah, I'm eating the sous vide and I can't even keep an avocado for a day, you know. But we look at everybody else and that comparison starts. And so on the top of that level of whatever we're feeling, we put shame and then we compare ourselves to other people.
But I think other people are all feeling things, and we're just not sharing it.
But we're afraid to tell each other, aren't we? Is it just me? Because I don't.
When people have shared, or I shared something the other day on Instagram, it was about school and frustration of homework not getting submitted and first day. It was a disaster. And someone messaged me and she's like, thank you so much for saying that. And she was dealing with something similar. And we don't share. We're like, oh, school's back, everything's great, and, you know, life is back to normal in some ways, and it's not. And we don't talk about it. But when we do, someone relates to it. So I think we need to share more of the bad.
Yeah. I think we have to create a culture of freedom to share.
Yes, that it's
whatever
okay.
That makes sense to
It's
me.
okay to say things aren't going well.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons that people have loved Girl Talk so much is because we say things that no one else says because, well, we can get in
Can't
trouble.
stop ourselves.
We can't stop ourselves, that's right. But we're having the conversations that everybody's afraid to have because they think that other people think they're unspiritual or they're not godly but when the truth of the matter is, you know, God wants us to be honest. And really, nobody benefits by hiding. Like if I hide whatever I'm struggling with, that can't help you because you don't know about it. It can't help me because I'm hiding it.
Well, and the second I know that someone else has had something going on, it makes me, even if I don't necessarily directly relate to that issue, I'm like, oh, thank you. I've got my own stuff.
You got permission.
But it's not just me. I think
Right.
when I find out it's not just me, there is this sense of relief that, okay, and then I can maybe reassess and get back into some of the better traits and habits and things. But if I think it's all me, then it's kind of downhill.
It's shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, so let me ask you this question, because I will vacillate between avoiding my feelings, numbing my feelings, pretending, or giving in to them. Do you know what I mean? And that's not good. I know that's not good.
I think there's 3 different things there.
Okay.
There's avoiding them.
Yeah.
There's numbing them.
Yeah.
And then there's, what's the third one you said?
Giving into them. Just allowing
But 3
them
different
to-
situations.
Bathing in them. Stinky bathwater. Think dirty bathwater.
Yes, dirty bathwater. So I think we can avoid them. And I'll tell you this, I know from experience that whatever you don't deal with will come back up at some point. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. You know, you can do
wow.
pretty well
Yes.
for a while, and then that thing pops back up, and there you are
Whack in the
again.
face.
Yeah,
It's a grenade just waiting to go off.
absolutely. That I have experienced that myself. It's just better if you go ahead and deal with it at the beginning. So, so that was pushing it down or avoiding it, giving into it. I think we have to be careful with that because if you let emotions lead, I've said this for years, I think I heard it from somebody smarter than me a long time ago, but I can't remember who it was. Emotions don't have brains. I mean, they don't reason through things. They just go with what they feel.
Charge ahead.
They charge ahead and they leave destruction in their path.
So that's true.
Yes. So we have, you avoid it, you give into it, and what was the third one the kids said?
Numbing it.
And numbing it's a totally different thing because you don't want to feel whatever it is that and you turn to something else to be your little g God, your little s Savior. You turn to, a glass of wine, or maybe it turns into a bottle of wine, or you turn to
Rice pudding.
Yeah, rice pudding.
Sorry.
Or nachos. Popcorn. Or popcorn, or shopping online, or Netflix binging, or whatever it is. You look to that for something to fulfill you and to help you not to feel the weight of whatever it is that you're feeling. And so all three of those are not good options, and yet we continue to go back to
We
them.
just vacillate,
Right.
or I do.
Yeah.
Boom,
Yeah,
boom.
well,
Let me
we
try
all do
this
it.
one. You hear about that?
Right. So what is it that is going to keep us from going between those three options and choosing the best? What is it that's going to help us press pause when we feel it coming? I go back to the pain analogy. When you feel that pain, that should be an indicator that something else is going on. Now, I'll tell you this, and this is the part I hate, and when I get to heaven, I'm going to have a long conversation with the Lord about this. But when that pain indicates something is wrong, you got to do some work.
Yes.
You got to get in His Word, and you got to see what His Word says about whatever it is you're feeling or dealing with. You got to deal with it, and that's hard work.
It is work.
But that's where we grow, girls. That's where we grow. And so we got to stop vacillating between these three options that are bad options and that always end us up in a bigger mess than we were, and go to the real source of truth, the real thing that's going to satisfy, the real thing that's going to fill us back up and send us out to whatever it is God's called us to do.
So how do we do that? How do we take steps in that direction?
I think part of it is being aware. You've taught me this through the years. Being aware of how you're feeling and admitting it right up front.
Well, I love how you journaled that.
Yeah.
I think that's I think that's I'm going to do that now.
But
Like a letter to yourself and then read it later in the day. That's a great idea.
But you have taught us. You'll come into the office and Tricia will say. She says it to us quite a bit. She'll go, "How you doing?" And like, let's check in. Where are you at? And it's more than just, "I'm fine. I'm just fine. I'm doing fine." It's not.
If you don't look at me, I know.
Exactly. That's so my
She's
thing.
like, "I'm fine."
So my thing. If I don't make eye contact.
Yeah, if church is quiet, I'm like, okay.
Right. But checking in on yourself, like asking yourself, how am I really doing? And then being willing to let whatever comes up come up. And then to say, all right, I'm going to honestly deal with this and not choose something else other than what will really solve this problem.
But will you love me if I'm not happy all the time?
Absolutely.
That's my fear. That's my fear. Do y'all have that fear? Is it just
no.
Everybody wants to be loved
Sure.
and liked, and I want everyone to like me,
Yeah.
But I think for you are not responsible for other people's happiness.
Yes.
You make us happy and you bring us so much joy. You come in the office every day singing.
Yeah.
When Tricia enters the building, she is singing and
bouncing.
hi, and and it's wonderful.
I don't even have to say it. I can just say your name. It's
like
not-
therapy for me. I don't mean to be turning this,
But you are not responsible for my happiness or my joy. I get joy from you naturally just because of who you are, but you don't need to work at that.
Right.
You need to just be happy yourself, and then we are all happy too.
and that's true for y'all.
But I know when I was young, I was maybe in high school, I remember a girl saying to me, "I like the happy Carol."
Oh.
And I am naturally a born performer. I just am. That's part of my
Yes.
DNA, and that's part of who I am. That's not totally who I am. And so at that moment, I decided, okay, everybody who's in relationship with me wants the happy,
The
funny,
happy.
crack me up Carol. Nobody else wants that. Got me into big trouble because that's all I could be for people. And then I would, retreat and isolate. And so I know that feeling of, if you can't perform, then you go backstage and you don't let anybody see it.
That's it. Close the door.
Yeah. But the truth of the matter is that God has created us to be whole. He's created us to be whole. The happy, the sad, the good, the bad, and there's some ugly with me. If you're friends with me, you know that. But the whole thing God has created us to be, and our worth has to be in that and not in, do I make other people happy, and are they going to accept me? Because if they don't, I'll just go this far and then I'll quit. If they don't accept you for the good as well as the bad, they don't love you. That's not love. That's a gimme, gimme, gimme relationship.
Yeah.
Give me what I need, and then you go. If
Yeah.
you can't give me what I need, you're not for me. That's
right.
That's a toxic relationship in my opinion.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
True.
So
Interesting.
I think we have been all around it tonight. Yeah. We could go another half hour. Yeah. We're on some time limits, and we want to respect your time because we love that you're being here. And but I think that the end of the day, you're honest with yourself. You check in. Pain is an indicator. See where you're at. Don't be afraid of that. Go to the one who created the emotions.
Go to the one.
Go to the one who can really save you, who doesn't want you to numb, who doesn't love you if you can't keep up the image that you think that you're known for. Go to him. He is the only one capable of making you whole.